Today's topic is the habits of a highly successful MMin student. Now, this message or this lesson is adapted from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of a Highly Successful Person. Now, first, let me say Stephen Covey is not a Christian as we would identify a Christian. But his principles are definitely biblical. Now, this book, The 7 Habits of a Highly Successful Person, has sold well over 25 million copies. It's translated to 30 to 40 languages, and it is a classic about the right habits for success. Now, I've adapted this. He has 7 habits. I have adapted this for our purposes into the 5 habits that we all need if we want to go through this MMin course and come out as a master of our ministry by the grace of God. So his 7 habits, I've put it to 5. The first is we need to be proactive. Second, we need to have clear goals. The third is we need to manage our time. The fourth is we need to understand. Number 5, we need to synergize, learn how to live a life of synergy, right? So basically, these are just 5 things you're going to go through. And if you develop these 5 habits during this course, and you learn nothing else during this course, you would have benefited greatly. Now, first, let me just say, what is a habit? I mean, it's a word we use frequently. A habit is basically something that we do automatically. It is something very different from, what am I going to do today? What tactic am I going to use? Or how am I going to overcome this problem today? What should be my mood today? Now, a habit is very different. Habit is not something you have to think about. It's something that is part of you. Over time, you develop a way of thinking, a way of behaving and doing things that has become part of you. But it takes time to develop habits. And the truth is, people with the right habits usually have the right type of life. Habits decide, our right type of habits decide the type of life. You would have bad habits, you have a bad life. Good habits, you have a good life. That's as simple as that. Now, how do you really develop a habit? Now, first, let me say there are 3 basic things that you need to have before you can develop a habit. Okay, the first is you need knowledge. Then you will need the skill, and then you would need the desire. There are 3 things that are all required before something becomes a habit. Let me give you an example in COVID-19, the world we live in today. Let's talk about hand washing. Now, the truth is, most of us don't wash our hands as much as we should before COVID. We tend to be a bit slack on that, right? But when we learn, the first part, knowledge, when we learn, we're told that, hey, guys, COVID can spread. If you touch something, and then inadvertently, without realizing, you maybe rub your nose, rub your mouth, or rub your eyes, you know what? Your hand could be the vector, the thing that brings the virus from some place you touch, where there's a virus on that place, you touch it. Maybe the guy before you had sneezed, he's got COVID, he touched that thing. And then maybe it's a railing of a staircase and you touched it. And then without realizing, you rub your eye because it's itchy. And then so you are told that this hand of yours, this innocent hand of yours, could be a very important factor in you getting COVID. So knowledge, this hand is no more innocent. This hand can be a culprit. Okay, so that's knowledge. This hand can be the cause of my death, knowledge. Second, you need skill. Now, washing hands is something that we don't really do very well. I'm a doctor by training. Even when I was a young doctor, I kept getting scolded by the theater supervisor. Hey, Chu, wash your hands properly. Because, you wash your hands, you get tired after washing. We have to scrub so many times this way, so many times that way. It's tedious. So having the knowledge you need to wash hands is not sufficient. You need the skill how to wash your hands. So in COVID, we are told you need to use soap and wash your hands for about 20 seconds. Now, that's a long time. Now, if you don't make that skill, you don't make it part of you, you wash for about 5 seconds and then enough, and you go off. And some tough part of the COVID virus doesn't die, right? Doesn't get removed. So having the knowledge is one thing. You need the skill. You need to learn to wash your hands, all right, for 20 seconds. It's not easy to develop that skill. Most of us are too impatient to develop the skill of washing your hands properly. And the third thing is desire. Now, you could do this for a while. After a while, you stop. So tedious having to wash my hands for 20 seconds every time I touch something outside. So what you do is you need desire. And often you lose desire after a while, but then maybe a relative dies. One of your church members die. And then it's like, oh no, I don't want to die. It's not my desire. My desire is to live. And so having the knowledge that your hand can harm you, having the skill knowing how to wash properly, and having the desire to want to keep washing, though it's so tedious, that process over time will soon become a habit. Now, as a doctor by training, I wash my hands a lot. It's a habit I developed. Everywhere I go and sit to eat, and everybody's sitting down just starting to eat, I will have to look for a sink to wash my hands. And it irritates people sometimes, but it's a habit. It's part of me. I don't say, oh, I need to wash my hands. It's just like before I sit down and hold my utensils to eat, I just have to wash. It's in me. It's part of me. I think it's kept me alive long and kept me from sickness, all right? But it's become part of my life. So I hope you understand that developing a habit is not something you do overnight. It takes time. But over time, when you have that habit, it keeps you alive. It keeps you successful in staying alive, right? So the same way, if we develop the right habits during this MMin course, you will succeed in your course, clear your course, but more importantly, become a master of your ministry. That's our goal, all right? So let's look at the 5 habits we hope will be developed along the course, okay? So you're going to learn content, but also first and foremost, I want you to develop the right habits. Number 1 is to be proactive. Now, the word doesn't ring a bell for most of us. It's not like that easy to understand what is proactive. But if I use a reverse word, the opposite word, it might help you. Most of us by nature are reactive. We by nature react to things that we don't like, that takes us out of our comfort zone, that inconveniences us. Okay, so by nature, when anything inconveniences us, we react to it. Okay, so that's our sinful nature. It says in Philippians 2:14, do all things without grumbling. We are natural grumblers. We grumble every time things don't exactly fit us. And it's easy and convenient and comfortable for us. We will complain. Okay? Now, let's take, for example, what is the difference between a proactive and a reactive person? Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you were going out of your house And oh my goodness, the rain came down, pouring down. So inconvenient, so hard to walk outside, so hard to get to the place you want to go to. What is your instant reaction? Your instant reaction is to complain. What in the world? Why is it raining? It's not supposed to rain today. It's not rainy season. All right? That's your natural, sinful reaction. Okay? Now, if you were proactive rather than reactive, which is not natural, which is a habit that needs to be developed, you would then simply say, oh, rain, and go and look for the biggest and best umbrella in your house. All right? So that way you have become moved from reactive to proactive. That's not common. Most people will first react until they vent out everything, and then when the temperature goes up, then they go and look for an umbrella. They wasted time, they sinned against God, they complain against what God gave them, and namely rain, and then they go out. So a proactive person has chosen to not react, but proact. Now, a super proactive person would even be better. He'll take the best umbrella, one for himself, and take another umbrella along, knowing somebody's going to get caught in the rain. Maybe his classmate going to school with him, or his colleague going to the office and got caught in the bus stop with him. And he said, hey, buddy, umbrella for you. And, straight away, he's blessed somebody. He's built a bridge to somebody, all right? And he took the so-called unfortunate event to become a super blessing event. He could now influence that person. He could even share the gospel with the person at some point in his life. But anyway, he could bless that person. So you see the difference between a proactive and a reactive. Now, humans have this choice to choose whether to react or proact. Now, as opposed to animals, for example, animals don't have a will. We call this a will. We call it a choice, a will. I will do this rather than I will do that, right? So we have a will and we decide what we will do, okay? Now, take example, if there is a very wild beast standing in the way, let's just say you went to a place where they had wild beasts, a zoo, and you're allowed to walk around, and by mistake you step on the beast's foot. What do you think the beast would do? The beast would automatically turn around and probably bite you. Could be a dog, could be anything. You step on his foot, he'll turn around and bark and bite. All right? He doesn't have a choice. That's his response. That's his instinct. That is his reaction. He doesn't have a will. Now, if you, as a human, are walking and the prime minister of the country in his walkabout stepped on your foot, and you were going to react, what in the Mr. Prime Minister, sir? And he will say, sorry, I stepped on your foot. And you say, sir, no problem. My honor that the prime minister of my country, the president of my country, stepped on my foot. Can we take a selfie, sir? All right. So you see, as a human, we do have a choice. And it is up to us to make the choice. Now, you will realize that there are actually two areas in our life that affect us every day. If you look at the chart, there is a blue zone we call the area or the circle of concern. Rain concerns us. But the white area in the middle of the chart is our circle of influence. I can't stop the rain. I have no influence to stop the rain. Only God can do that. But I have influence enough to go to my cupboard and happily take an umbrella or two. All right? So I have to focus as a proactive person, always asking myself this question: do you focus on the area of concern. Hiya, why rain? Every day it rains now. It shouldn't be raining. It concerns you, but it's not the area of influence. So a proactive person always asks himself, am I spending energy in the area of concern or in the area of influence? And the more you develop this proactive habit, the blue rim becomes much thinner and the white becomes much larger. You are not hemmed down, you're not oppressed by the blue zone. You don't be a man full of blues, all right? You'll be a man happy, all right? So number one, be proactive during this course. Now, some of you are going to be pulled out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to use apps, tech apps on the computer, on your laptop, on your cell phone, and they are very difficult for many of us. The new apps, we've never used them before. They're very irritating. And what do you think the first thing you do? You complain. Why? Why do we have to use this? Why is this stupid artist using this tech, these apps? Why are they not using the other one? And then when you use the apps, why is it so clunky? Why is it so user unfriendly? You know, you can go on and on, my dear, and yet all you're doing is you're in the blue zone and you're just hemming yourself in. All right, let's choose the white zone and say, yes, we have to use these apps. It's part of the system. Tech is part of the new world we're moving into. And I will use all I can, all the means I can to learn how to use tech well. And you know what? When you have that umbrella, you are smiling in the rain and the rest are hunkering down in the bus stop, unable to move. All right? So number one, be proactive, not reactive, right? Number two, have goals. Stephen Covey calls them have the end in mind. All right, you must have clear goals. Now, it is said that only 5% of people, I don't know how true this is, but it's commonly said, only 5% of people ever write down their goals. I think it's even less than 5. But anyway, let's take it at 5. Only 5% write down their goals. 95% never do. But of the 5% that write down their goals, those 5%, 95% of those 5% achieve their goals. Simply put, if you have a clear goal in mind, you usually, in this case, it says 95% will achieve your goal. Let me give you an example. Let's say we know that after 2 years, if you work hard during this course, you will graduate. Now, when you graduate, you can choose to graduate in certain designated places. Let's say in the Philippines, there's some places where some of you could graduate there. Some of you could choose to go on Zoom, but some of you could come to Singapore to graduate. Now, let's say you decided, I would like to graduate in Singapore. I would like my wife to be with me when I graduate in Singapore. So you write down that goal. Let's say you wrote it down. You and your wife wrote down that goal. 2 years' time, COVID's not going to last forever. Sooner or later, we can travel, God willing, and we will go to Singapore for our graduation and have our second honeymoon. All right? So when you write that down, the chances are you will achieve your goal. You will start saving a little bit of money every now and then, extra money, instead of spending it on snacks or whatever. You put it down. You'll be looking for a promotion ticket, knowing that in these terrible times, often amazing promotional tickets are sold. You may get a few dollars to come to Singapore, right? You will then, while you're waiting in your free time, you got extra, you're going down to the city, get your passport. Right? So because you have these clear goals, you have certain direction to do, certain things that you will do in the process. Now, come 2 years later, God willing, COVID clears. Hey, you got your promotion ticket, you got enough savings, and you have your passport, and you and your wife are going to be in Singapore for a graduation cum honeymoon. Whoa, that's not bad. Now let's say you didn't do that. I never wrote it down. Chances are, you maybe it's somewhere in your mind, big and woolly, and you didn't save. When the promotion tickets came up, you didn't grab. A few dollars, you didn't even want to get it. Then by the time you decide to come to Singapore and COVID's over, the passport office is jammed and you can't get your passport. So, too bad. Zoom graduation, that's not bad, but still, you didn't. It was a goal in your mind, but it was vague and woolly, all right? So if you put something specific, like me and wife will be in Singapore for graduation plus a honeymoon, specific, measurable, and the chances are you will get your goal, okay? So the same with this course. You come on this course and you just attend. Say, oh, one day I'll be a better pastor, a better missionary, a better church leader, whatever. And you don't put specific, measurable, achievable goals. You know what? Chances are you might do like a Zoom graduation. You know, you might improve somewhat, but not quite what you were hoping for. So can I suggest right now, at the end of this session, write down your goals. It could be as simple as, I want to love my Bible more. And how is it measurable? Love is hard to measure. I do now half an hour every morning of quiet time because I find it tired to go more than half an hour. Let me see. At the end of this Masters of Ministry sessions, I want to love the Bible more, but it's not measurable. And I want to spend a delightful 1 hour every day in the Word of God. Write it down. 1 hour quiet time with God. Okay, maybe you are now influencing a certain group. You're a pastor, you are preaching to 100, 200 people a week. Let's say 200, and you say, at the end of this course, I want to influence. I want to preach to twice the number of people. Maybe the church building would be enough, maybe 2 services. Maybe 1 service, the 200, another 200 listening to me online. My old members who have gone abroad, etc., are now part of my overseas congregation because they find my preaching much more substantial, much more effective, much more impactful than before. Wow. Maybe you're discipling 1 person now. Maybe you say, at the end of this course, I want to disciple not 12 like Jesus, but 3 more than what I'm doing now. Write it down. 5% of people write down their goals, and of those 5%, 95% achieve them. Why not? All right? Why not be one of those? Right? So have the end in mind. At the end of 2 years, what are you going to achieve out of this course? Not what you're going to just go through this course. Don't be like the 95% of people in this life who muddle through life, who sort of ooze their way through life. At the end of it, not knowing where to arrive, never had a goal. Right? So let's have a clear end in mind as you enter this course. Number 3, time management. The truth is, that's a very bad term. Nobody can manage time. Time is every second ticks by. Nobody can stop that. The most powerful emperor in the world cannot stop 1 second from progressing to the next second. It's like a conquering army that rides over us, right? Every second just keeps ticking on. Better term is putting first things first. You don't manage the time. You prioritize the precious time you have. All of us have 24 hours a day. Nobody has more or less. Only one who could manage time for one time in his life was Joshua in Joshua chapter 10, when he asked the sun to stop, and it did. So he could finish the conquest. That's the only time in history. All right. So please, for you and me, how do we manage time? We manage time by putting first things first. Now, the problem with most of us is we are controlled by a terrible master called the cell phone, all right? This terrible master of ours actually rules many lives, okay? Often it has notification signals. It beeps, it toots, it teets, right? And every time it teets, your master is like calling you, "Hey, look," right? And for many of us, we cannot focus. We're studying and it's beeping and tooting away, and we keep studying one line, looking at our cell phone, right? That's number one. In so-called putting first things first, this kind of teeting and tooting of your cell phone is called something that is urgent but not important. It's urgent because it's buzzing, it's making noise, it's grabbing your attention. Hey, listen, I'm calling you, right? That's what a notification is. But most of the time, when it calls you, in fact, 99% of the time, it's not important. It sounds urgent because all beeps have the same sound, whether it's the president calling you, or your frivolous friend sending you a frivolous message. It has the same teeth and toot, all right? So my point is this. These are urgent, but not important. So you must put them last. Turn off your notifications. If you're studying, turn it off. You're counseling somebody, turn it off. You're attending a Zoom session, turn it off, all right? Don't allow it to distract you. But the second thing that steals time is not just the urgent and not important, it's the unurgent and not important. You say, why should that attract me? Come on. You know how it does it? Through wise programs like Facebook, Instagram. All these programs are tailored in such a way when it gets your attention, it wants to grab your life. It wants you to see more and more, so you can see the ads too, so that they can sell more, all right? They can make more money by selling ads, right? Advertisements. Now, so what happens is the urgent grabs you to look at your Instagram or your Facebook, and okay, your friend is sick, so that's urgent, and okay, that's maybe I can pray for him, that's not bad. But then while you're in Facebook, the temptation now, it's designed in such a way that it grabs your attention. So you don't end up just seeing that one notification. You tend to scroll down and look at the rest. And then soon your time is stolen away by this thing, this thief, right? This is meant to be our tool to serve us, but it's end up as a thief who steals the most precious commodity for us, which is time. All of us. Time cannot be bought. It's priceless, but it steals your time. That's why we chose to deal with you, to communicate with you through WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a lot less enticing than things like Facebook and Instagram, all right? It's more official, right? And generally, when you go into WhatsApp, you don't like, I need to see all the pictures and all this interesting snippets of people's birthdays and what they ate for breakfast and lunch. That grabs your time. So let's not allow our cell phones to be our master. It's meant to be our slave. So be careful. Time is not stolen away. Time is precious. So let's focus on what we call the non-urgent but important things. Now, studying the Bible, is that urgent? No. If you don't study for a Bible for one day, is the lightning going to hit you? Is God going to strike you down? Is your members going to say, Pastor, you didn't read the Bible today? No, nobody's going to say anything. But if you don't answer the notification, Pastor, I called you so many times, why you didn't answer? Straight away, you are, identified. But honestly, if you didn't read the Bible, if you didn't study your MMin notes, PC is not going to harass you. PC is not going to kick you off the course, right? So my point is this. Though it's non-urgent, it's important that you should master your ministry. We try to master our skills. Doctors try to be good doctors. Pilots try to be good pilots, right? Everybody, chef tries to be a good chef. We as servants of God, we better do it well. Let's not just do ministry. Let's master our ministry because we have the highest master who's given us the highest privilege. All right? So we need time to do that. Focus on your admin course. Don't let the thief that is in your pocket called a cell phone steal your time away. Don't fritter your time away. Some older people, it's TV. I don't own a TV in my house, never had for years and years own a TV. I hardly ever open my Facebook, right? Once in a blue moon, I do because I don't have a choice. Some people only communicate on that, but I don't touch it, all right? Because I know how seductive it is, designed to seduce you, to be sucked into it, all right? So next one, putting first things first, non-urgent. Study is non-urgent, but important to master your ministry, okay? So please set aside time not to be stolen by all these things while you're studying, buzzing away and distracted. Focus. All right, third, that's the first three are what we call proactive goals, setting your personal goals, and time management. First three are what we call personal skills, things you need to have in and of yourself. Now, the next two are what I would call, what Stephen Covey calls public skills. Public skills are when we deal with others. So habit number four, which is the first public skill today we're talking about, is to understand before we speak. I always like to deal with people who are understanding. Do you like a boss who's not understanding? Do you like a wife who's not understanding? Do you like a father who's not understanding? Very irritating. They always see everything from their own viewpoint. A young teenager goes up to his dad and they say, in my time it's like this. Why are you like this? And the kid is like, oh, dad, times have moved. Your times were your times. These times are these times. Times have changed. Will you listen to me, Dad? Will you see why I do things this way? Why I actually have to go on the cell phone? Because it's a study tool, Dad. It's not a gaming tool like your time. We need to learn to listen to others. We need to learn to understand why our wives say certain things that doesn't make sense to us. We are wired as men. I'm a man. I'm wired to see things from a very big perspective. My wife sees things from a very different angle. The little things of life mean a lot because she was wired to take care of little precious babies, my precious children and grandchildren. She was wired to worry about the diaper being a little wet, a little thick, a little too thin. And to me, it's all the same, man. It's no big deal. And then when I listen to her and understand why she's so involved in it, so engrossed in that, then I realized that, it's important to learn to see things from a different angle. I never saw it that way. I never realized for that little kid, that little slightly thicker diaper makes that little kid's life so much better. It's too small for me to recognize, but it's so important, but I never saw it. So when we enter a course like MMin, we're going to have people from different backgrounds, including different religious church backgrounds. And we were always like, even some of the lecturers, especially from third millennium, they represent seminaries from all kinds of backgrounds, and we listen to them. And then we get to see things we never saw. If I'm a word-based Christian, I think of the word. I may be overly emphasizing the word. And then another Christian is always talking about prayer. We need the unction of the Holy Spirit. It's like, okay. I always thought if I just did a beautiful crafted sermon, every punctuation, every example, brilliant, it's enough. Oh, didn't realize that. The best sermon without the unction of the Holy Spirit, a balance between the word of the Spirit, the word of the Spirit and the work of the Spirit is so critical. Now I get it. All right. So when we come into a course like this and we get a chance to learn many different angles, come with an open mind. You don't have all the answers. You're not seeing things from all the angles. All right. And we hope that during this course, we'll give you good things, right? Not bad things. Sometimes in life, it's a bit dangerous to open your mind too much because you might be overly influenced. Though I always teach my students this, learn to eat the fish. Don't reject a fish because there are bones in it. In fact, usually the tastiest fish have a lot of bones. All right, and so learn to, and don't reject the fish because it has bones. Filipinos, many of you are Filipinos in this course. I love the bangus, but I'm freaked out by the bones. All right, the bangus. But of course, you guys have learned how to pull out the bones. But the point is, you were wise enough never to reject the bangus fish, though it had a lot of bones, because you knew it was tasty. Now, many cultures don't eat bangus because we just look at the bones and just throw the fish away. It's not eatable. And this fish, it's too much hassle to eat this fish, right? Foolish. Okay, so learn, but listen. Critical mind, Holy Spirit to guide you. Take what you can learn during this course. There's lots of things you're going to learn from different people, different lecturers. Open mind, take it in. Enjoy the fish. And there are some bones, and no course is perfect. You may have to spit out some bones, and that's fine. Okay, the only thing you don't spit out bones is the Bible. The Bible is pure. No need to spit out any bones. But listening to me, listening to lecturers, listening to your classmates, it's a lot of wisdom. Often mingle with some bones, right? But doesn't mean you don't open your mind and understand. Lastly, last public skill is synergy. Let me teach you mathematics. There's two kinds of mathematics. There's the kids' mathematics, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. We call that accuracy. No, that's not accuracy. That's simple arithmetics. In the process of synergy, 1 + 1 + 1 can equal 300. You say, what? What kind of mathematics is that? That's called matured mathematics, synergistic mathematics. Let me give you an example. I've always dreamt of having a seminary or a shaminary like ours where I can reach and influence many people, share what I have learned. Now, the problem is, on my own, I could influence my sphere of influence, a few hundred people, maybe not even a few hundred. tens of people that were willing to come for a long training. Okay. Now, one day, a friend introduced me to someone from Third Millennial Ministries. I was in my missions headquarters. I sit there and I drink coffee and chat with missionaries. And he dropped by and he said, I want to meet people here. And he's from Holland. And he came in and he sat with me and he told me about Third Millennial Ministries. It's just about a year ago. I said, oh, you guys have all these courses? Amazing. How many years? Wow. You mean you invested all these years in all these courses and we in Asia, in Southeast Asia, hardly know about it? And so I went to look into the courses and I said, wow, they've invested so much in quality seminary courses that has not reached our people. So I said, wow, together with my Asian experience, together with their seminary quality lectures, we could do a lot. But I'm not a tech guy. I know nuts about tech. My generation, we don't even know how to turn on a TV properly. A remote control TV is like, whoa, this is rocket science. So, interestingly enough, there was another guy in that same center, my missions headquarters. I never knew him to be a tech guy. He's a great guy, he can do a lot of things, but I didn't know how brilliant his tech mind was because he wasn't trained in tech. And he's now our director of technology, Leo. And so what happens was, one, PC, who loves to train people, his passion is to train leaders for this century, for the last days, meets another guy who represents Third Millennial Ministries in Asia, and then has another guy who's a tech guy who can package everything and disperse it to limitless numbers of people at a press of a button. The same lectures, the same study guides, the same tests, the same grading, the same everything, in one press of a button. He can do it, the tech guy. So there's one PC, one Third Millennial, and one Liu Cheng. 1 + 1 + 1. And what have we got? I don't know. It's 300 now, maybe. 200 over students in MMin. Maybe one day, 20,000. I don't know. Maybe more. So 1 + 1 + 1 equals how many? If you put it synergistically, not simplistically, it can be thousands. So what am I saying? When you come into a course like MMin, I don't believe students came in by chance. I don't believe in the lottery of evolution. I believe in the design of a creator God. He designed everything from the little ant to the little atom to the galaxy. I believe every one of you is brought in by design. And I believe as we enter the class, meet our classmates in the breakout rooms, with an open mind, learn from one another and say, who knows? One me plus one him plus one her, we could impact 1,000 times more people. 1 + 1 + 1 can be 1,000, 1 million. Depends on what God wants to do through you. All right, so having said all this, I hope you will listen carefully. You will develop the right habits of being proactive, not reactive. You will set goals today, right? You will learn not to be a person whose mind is on frivolous, petty things stolen by Facebook and Instagram and all the little petty news of the world. I hope you will come with an open mind and not come with a mind that says, I know everything. Why is he saying something different? Why is he saying this? It's not what I believe. As if you are the repository of wisdom and truth. And lastly, when you come in, God has put you here, maybe, and I believe, for a grander purpose. So may God bless you as you begin your journey. Let's develop the right habits. The rest will follow. God bless you.